Empire Tales: Odysseus and the Trojan War, the hero's journey home. In the heart of ancient Greece, amidst the sprawling ruins of the city of Troy, a hero's tale was forged, a tale that would echo through the ages. His name was Odysseus, king of Ithaca, and his journey, filled with trials, adventures, and unimaginable challenges, would define him as one of the greatest heroes in Greek mythology. Odysseus was no stranger to war. He fought valiantly in the Trojan War, a war that would rage for 10 long years. But it was his cleverness, his wit, and his ability to think outside the box that would secure his place in history. The war that had nearly destroyed Troy, that had drawn kings, warriors, and gods into its web, would also set the stage for Odysseus' legendary journey, a journey to return to his homeland of Ithaca and his beloved wife Penelope. But what makes Odysseus' story so remarkable isn't just the Trojan War. It is what happened after, as he faced gods, monsters, and the unforgiving forces of fate on his way home. His trials would be just as epic as the war itself. The Trojan War, the mastermind behind the horse. The story of Odysseus begins long before his journey home. It begins in the midst of one of the greatest wars the world had ever seen, the Trojan War. For 10 years, the Greeks and the Trojans had been locked in a brutal battle, neither side giving way. The war had begun over a woman, Helen, the beautiful queen of Sparta, who had been taken by Paris, a prince of Troy. The Greek kings, in a bid to reclaim her, formed a coalition army under the leadership of Agamemnon. But it was Odysseus, with his legendary craftiness, who would play a key role in the war's end. The Greeks were losing, and it seemed that Troy would never fall. Then, Odysseus devised the greatest ruse in military history, the Trojan horse. The Greeks built a massive wooden horse, hollowed out to hold their best soldiers. The rest of the Greek army pretended to sail away, leaving the horse as a supposed gift for the Trojans. The Trojans, believing the war had ended, brought the horse inside the gates of Troy, unaware that it contained hidden soldiers. That night, while the Trojans slept, the Greek warriors emerged, and with the help of a few Trojan traders, they opened the gates to the rest of the Greek army. The city fell, and Troy was destroyed. Odysseus' cunning had turned the tide of the war, and the Greeks claimed victory. But his journey, and the consequences of his actions, were just beginning. The journey home, a hero's trials. With the fall of Troy, Odysseus was eager to return home to Ithaca, to his wife Penelope, and to the son, Telemachus, he had left behind. But fate had other plans. The gods, especially Poseidon, the god of the sea, had not forgiven Odysseus for his role in the destruction of Troy. Poseidon's wrath would send Odysseus on a journey that would last 10 more years, a journey filled with monsters, temptations, and nearly insurmountable challenges. The Cyclops, a test of wit. One of Odysseus' earliest trials after the fall of Troy was his encounter with Polyphemus, the giant Cyclops who lived on a remote island. Odysseus and his men stumbled upon the Cyclops' cave, and in their greed, they ate his food and drank his wine. When Polyphemus returned, he trapped them in his cave, planning to eat them one by one. The situation seemed hopeless, until Odysseus used his cleverness to turn the tables. He told the Cyclops that his name was Nobody, and tricked him into drinking wine until he passed out. Then, with a sharp stake, Odysseus and his men blinded the Cyclops. When Polyphemus cried out in pain, he called for help, but when others asked who had hurt him, he could only say nobody did. The cleverness of Odysseus saved him and his men, but it came at a cost. As Odysseus and his crew sailed away, Polyphemus cursed them, asking Poseidon to never let them return home. The sirens, Scylla and Charybdis, the sea's deadly embrace. The seas Odysseus sailed were filled with dangers, but perhaps none more terrifying than the sirens, beautiful but deadly creatures whose songs lured sailors to their doom. As they neared their island, Odysseus knew what awaited him. He ordered his men to block their ears with wax, but he himself, curious to hear their song, had himself tied to the mast of his ship. The siren's song was irresistible, but Odysseus' men, hearing his pleas, did not release him. They sailed past, but the siren's trap was just one of many dangers they would face. Later, they encountered Scylla, a six-headed monster who devoured sailors, and Charybdis, a massive whirlpool that could swallow the entire ship. In this impossible dilemma, Odysseus had to choose the lesser evil. He chose to sail closer to Scylla, losing a few men but sparing the rest of his crew. The end of the journey, returning to Ithaca. Finally, after years of wandering, Odysseus returned to Ithaca, but things had changed. Penelope, faithful but unsure if her husband would ever return, had been harassed by suitors who believed Odysseus had died. In one final act of cleverness and bravery, Odysseus disguised himself as a beggar and, with the help of his son Telemachus, defeated the suitors in a contest of strength and skill. With his kingdom restored, Odysseus was finally reunited with Penelope, who had remained loyal to him throughout the years. The legacy of Odysseus, a hero for the ages. Odysseus' journey is more than just an adventure. It is a tale of wit over strength, of endurance, and of the longing to return home. His tricks and intelligence made him one of the greatest heroes in mythology, and his journey home from the Trojan War became a timeless legend. Even after his death, Odysseus' story would inspire generations, reminding us of the enduring power of cleverness, courage, and the desire to return to those we love. Headphone, listen now to the tale of Odysseus, the hero who outsmarted gods and monsters, conquered the seas, and journeyed for 10 long years to return home. If you enjoy cinematic history storytelling and immersive podcast experiences, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join Empire Tales for more legendary stories from history.